Okay, well, I worked out what the problem is, and it definitely wasn't that she needed to go to the loo. So, those of you that are just watching would have seen me train the puppy, and some good stuff, some bad stuff, the puppy displacing, wandering off, losing interest, me working through it, eventually getting as remnants of what I wanted. Not the behaviour that she can certainly do, and she definitely was saying to me, I'm not quite focused in this session. Really typical thing that your dog can do, really typical for puppies. And the fix was, or the distraction was, so I am having my van cleaned at the moment, and I've moved all my stuff into the playroom, and I also given my dogs bones this morning, and Sugar has taken the bone and brought it in and buried it amongst my stuff outside, and the puppy is clearly sussed that there is a bone hidden amongst that stuff, hence why she's losing focus and distracted. So I've moved the bone. I'm not going to try and train her anymore. I can fix that, I can work on that later on, and I might even use the bone as a reinforcer for what I want. But typical, you could see there clearly she wasn't focused on me. My choices are, obviously I can stop my training session. Obviously I was doing a live, so you kind of see that's what happens. Puppies might need to, as several of you mentioned, she might need to go to the toilet, she might be losing focus. In this instance, it was the competing distraction. So really important thing, long term, I want my dogs to understand that it doesn't matter if there's a meaty bone by the side, I want you to be focused. So that's a little takeaway for me. That's a really, really, really obviously a high value reinforcer that will create distraction. So that's something that I need to work on with her. I haven't obviously done that as yet. I haven't done, there's a bone and focus on what I want you to do. Oh no, baby. So that's not something that I'm willing to challenge her in this instance. It wasn't planned, but what she's showing me is where I'm at with my training. So she showed me very clearly that when there is a meaty bone out in another room adjacent to where we are, she can't focus enough on what I want her to do. So I can choose to avoid that if I wanted to, and I can think, what I'll do is I'll move the bone away and avoid that as a challenge. Well, that long term is going to probably shoot me in the foot. If I'm out, walking my dogs and there's a bone or some remnants of food and I want my dogs to recoil away from it, that's going to be a challenge that they might have or face in their life. And for me, it's really critically important that I work through that. So what I would then do is I would have a bone. I'd have actually probably two bones, or I might have an older bone, which my dogs have obviously eaten. I might actually save that one, and I'm going to have something that she really wants, like a really, really ridiculously high value, like chicken wing, or even a piece of raw steak, something along those lines. And I would work her through that and just place it far enough away, get some interaction, reward her with the thing that is of higher value, and then I would progressively bring the distraction closer and closer. Classic thing that people do is they avoid those little things, and it can become a major issue. She showed me today that she needs more understanding and more clarity of working through massively high level of distraction. And that's normal. She's, only a baby. She's only weeks old, or months old, I should say. But the takeaway for me is not to avoid that and to work through it. So I did attempt to work through it. I was using, toys and lower value food in comparison to the bone. She wasn't really focusing. It wasn't enough. So my takeaway would be to use the power of the thing that she wants to get what I want, which is obviously her being focused and engaged with me. So not sure if there's any questions from the previous live. Good observations though by people. Questioning, is the puppy reading the dog? Determining, does the puppy need to be let out? Does she, because she kept on going to the back door, which was really odd, which is normally how she says, she wants to go out. So I, like you, thought, she clearly might need the toilet break. She had been prior, so I did think, that's a bit unusual. But, you read the dog in the moment, and absolutely, does she need to go to the toilet would be my first thought. Hang on a second, let me just refresh that. But as it happens, it was a competing distraction. So something really, okay. So, Alex, what techniques would you use to increase toy drive in a food-motivated dog who isn't really interested in toys, and vice versa? So, I would use, you can use food as toys. You can use food in a sock is a good one. Or what I might do with her is it was a rib that was out in the dog room, which Sugar likes. I could actually put that in something. If I wanted to build desire for it, I could put that in a sock and use that to create tugging. I could also click tugging. So the dog tugs a little bit, click, I can give her the meaty bone for a reinforcement for tugging. I would go back, so I wouldn't necessarily ask her, as I did in this situation. I was attempting to get her to do a skill that I thought that she had some understanding of. This just merely shows me where I'm at in my training. Yeah, a dog doing that is not a problem. It's just information for me. It's teaching me about where I'm at. And I would want to address the core issue, which is being able to focus and use the reinforcements that are appropriate in the situation, the dog having value for those reinforcements, and also working against competing distractions. Something like a meaty bone is pretty extreme, but I want to be able to work my dogs against any reinforcement that is in the environment, or anything that might be a distraction, and I want them to be focused on me. So I would absolutely not avoid that. I would work on it. I might actually do that as a live, actually, that's using a bone or something similar, and showing how I work through it. So hopefully that's answered your questions. So let me read it. Visit process comments. Loving the troubleshooting. This is when, yeah, absolutely. So that's what dogs do. They throw things at you and you've got to think on your feet. Welcome to the world of poodles. Yeah, I think a lot of times what happens with, certainly, I've had lots of different breeds. People use that as a reason to go, oh, okay, because it's a poodle, that means that she's not going to be focused. Because she's a poodle, then I'm going to allow for distractions and her, switching off and disengaging. I would choose to work through that and create the dog's understanding that I want them to be focused, I want them to be engaged, and I want them to understand when and where I need them to respond to me. And that, because that's going to help me domestically as well. It could be, certainly where I walk, you always get remnants of dead animals, and I want my dogs to be able to recall away from them, to come when they're called, irrespective, to ignore the distractions, irrespective of what's in the environment, and so forth and so forth. Okay? Yeah, she's really grown, she's got bigger. So any other comments? Let's have a look. Hang on a second. Let's have a look. Comments. Yeah. So, let me have a look at here. Any more questions? Okay, I think that's it. So, again, just to recap, the initial session was about teaching RSMs, but actually evolved into something that was far more prevalent and more important to really probably show and share with people. And that is troubleshooting. What do you do when your dog doesn't... Oh, right there. Good girl. What do you do when your dog doesn't want to... switches off, disengages, and so forth and so forth? How do you handle that? How do you work through that? So ways in which you can do that, understanding where the distraction is, understanding what your dog wants and manipulating that to get what you want, are really, really important skills to develop and obviously address as soon as you see them crop up. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Whatever you're doing, have a good day. I'll love you and leave you. Any questions, by all means, post them on either thing and I'll pick them up and I will share that and I'll do a follow-up with the puppy. Probably, well, depending on how we go today, we might actually do that later on, looking at her anti-bone training. All right, see you later. Wish me luck. See you all later.